Good morning. I'm Chris, and we're my groups. And my group is Find Your High Vibe, and I'm sharing into Dee's group, Turning Your Pain into Power. Happy Tuesday! It's Tuesday. How is everybody today? It's kind of rainy and cool here. And so usually throughout the day, I told you I take notes if I think of a topic or something to bring up. And last night, the topic that came to me, I started reading a sample of a Kindle book about connecting to spirit. And this book says, by the time you're 50, everybody has had some kind of message from spirit. I didn't appreciate the fact that the book kept going on about the elderly population, so I put it down. But so I thought that was interesting. By the time I'm 49, by the time you're 50, you have had some type of message from spirit. What do you think? Have you? My message from spirit the first time, and I didn't even know it was 2009. And it was like somebody grabbed me and said, you have to go to Seattle. 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 Somebody was just talking about a weekend they'd had in Seattle. And we were at this toddler playgroup, parent-toddler playgroup. So, and I was the director on this day. So I had to pay attention to what everybody was doing, where the kids were, what time it was, checking people in. But I was sitting, and I also had 3 very small kids at the time, and was pregnant. So what would it take for me to hear a message from spirit in that situation? There had to have been at least 10 toddlers. So that means 4 and younger, and a parent for each one. And it was a lot of fun. So 10 toddlers running around, parents sitting there. I have other things in the back of my head, and I'm pregnant. What would it take for spirit to get a message through to me? And why at that moment? So another parent was talking about going to Seattle, and as loud, internal, very loud, you have to go to Seattle. You have to go to Seattle. And all I thought was, oh, I must really want to go to Seattle. That, I guess my mind, my heart, something was waiting for that topic to come up. And it wasn't until 2 years later that I found a notebook that I believe, where I had written out what I wanted my business that I didn't want at the time, my new business to look like. That trip to Seattle that I took after that, I received that message. That weekend we went, and I saw a little donut machine, and then 3 weeks later I'm at Farmer's Market selling little donuts, and that's the beginning of a whole big thing. But I didn't realize until I saw that notebook almost 2 years later that was a message from spirit, that what I heard and felt in my body that I needed to go to Seattle, that was a message from spirit. And so last night I'm thinking about this. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask, have you had messages from spirit? Did you recognize them as messages? Did you take action based on those messages? And if not, what happened? So I think you notice what you're supposed to notice. And if you miss it the first time, it's going to come back around. And it might have to slap you in the face, but there are going to be multiple attempts if the first one is not successful. So that'd be interesting to hear everybody's messages. And it's so bizarre. Those things in your body, in your head, when you get a message, you know it. You know it and you feel it. And when you try to tell somebody else, Isn't that bizarre? Like this morning, I woke up and like, oh my God, honey, I had these incredible insights. Oh, I had all these ideas, and oh my God, I couldn't sleep, and so much was going through my head. And then when I try to say it, it just isn't the same. It's not the same impact, right? Maybe everybody just has to hear it for themselves. I don't know. So, hey, leave me a comment. Let me know if you have had a message and did you take action on it? And what do you think about that? So, as I was thinking about this last night, thinking, oh, yeah, that would be my first message, even though I didn't realize it until a couple years later. Well, then I started coming up with all this other stuff in my head. Like, oh, I remember this, and it made me do this. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, when I was in college, when I was in law school, suddenly I started thinking of all these examples. So now I have to rethink the whole thing because that Seattle message was not the first one. It certainly hasn't been the last one. Oh, fun talks, fun topics. So let me know. And that'll be fun to read and maybe talk about tomorrow. So are you open to hearing messages? Are you asking for guidance? Have you gotten messages in response to you asking for something? That's fun stuff. Everybody have a happy Tuesday, and we'll see what we have tomorrow, okay? Thanks for stopping by. Take care.